Hello, I'm Rebecca Bowering. Welcome to this edition of Tech24. Coming up in the programme, the end of an era for Apple. Steve Jobs steps down as CEO of the tech giant he co-founded. So what's next for the world's most valuable brand? Now its visionary leader's no longer at the helm. Eric Olander gives us his predictions for the future of Apple. And go back to school in style with the latest in our series of solar-powered gadgets. This backpack doesn't store your stuff, it also recharges your electronics. We'll show you how to take the sun with you thanks to French company Equigy. We start with a shocking and yet in some ways inevitable announcement of the week. Steve Jobs has resigned as CEO of Apple, saying he can no longer fulfill his duties in the role. The 56-year-old tech guru has been on a leave of absence since January after recurrent health problems. Jobs is replaced by Chief Operating Officer Tim Cook, though he will stay on as chairman. Earlier this month, Apple briefly became the world's most valuable company on the stock market. But can it stay at the top of the tech pyramid without Jobs' creative genius? For more of that, Eric Olander now joins me in the studio. Eric, can you put this into context for us? Just how much of Apple's success is due directly to Steve Jobs? Oh, you can't separate Apple from Steve Jobs. And I think that's what kind of led to the reaction that we saw when the news came that he was resigning, of course, as CEO. The markets, shed 5% off the share price. People it came onto Twitter and to social networks just expressing their deep emotional connection to this man and what he's done for them. Now, let's take a look at why. And this will give us some indication to the future as well. My mother, 75 years old, got a Mac last year. 5 minutes out of the box, she's online. Now, to get a PC online in that amount of time would have been impossible. He transformed computing from dull beige boxes into something that everybody could use. It was easy, it was elegant, it was beautiful, and most importantly, it was fun. And that idea of creating joy and pleasure out of computing is why people feel the way they do. Now, let's look to the future. We've already talked about all the past and everything that's happened to Apple, and that's been done to death. The future is Steve Jobs and Apple have been one, but he's spent the past several years really laying the foundations for what we saw last week in him stepping down. So there's every indication that the next few years, not indefinitely, but the next few years will probably continue as we've seen in the past with Apple bringing out a lot of innovating products. So you're confident that he's established a philosophy and also that he's put the right people at the top to take his strategy forward in his absence? I mean, Tim Cook has been effectively in charge for several years now, and they haven't missed a beat. Their market shares continue to grow. They've innovated into different spaces. The iPad came out under Tim Cook's leadership, and iPad now dominates the tablet market space. We'll probably see the iPad market share trail off a little bit as Android grows in there. But at the end of the day, companies like HP last quarter sold 25,000 tablets. Apple sold 9 million. That will probably continue for the next few years. We call him a tech visionary, but he's also got a real reputation for being a perfectionist and somewhat tyrannical in that role. By contrast, Tim Cook seems like a softly spoken man. Are we going to see the way that Apple moves reflecting his personality now? Indefinitely. You probably, most definitely, you probably will. From all the accounts that you read about Steve Jobs, he's not a very nice person. He's not a person you'd want in your life. In fact, he's a jerk in many respects. He's tyrannical. He yells at people. He belittles them. He's got this very, very defined vision that he wants to make sure is implemented. Tim Cook is not that person. He's much more, soft-spoken. So we'll probably see a change in culture. The key question is there going to be a change in the innovative culture, the design culture, and the product culture at Apple that's led to these amazing products? Any concerns that creativity may stall? And that may happen, not again in the next few product cycles, but down the road, companies and cultures change. However, people have been underestimating this company for 25 years, and they've lost a lot of money underestimating this company. So, if my money was on it, I wouldn't bet against them. And you're absolutely certain that the fan base will remain loyal? Only if the products are good, and that's the key thing. They make great products. The iPhone 5 that's supposed to be coming out in the next 6 weeks. Of course, that keeps getting pushed back. We've also got, depending on who you listen to, the iPad 3, which could be out this autumn or next spring. Anything else in the pipeline? They're still tinkering around with Apple TV. We're probably going to see some more innovations with iMac. And also on the software side, Final Cut Pro 10 just came out. They've also done a lot in the consumer software. We're looking at a new version of iTunes coming out, which could be revolutionary as well. iTunes, after all, redefined the music business, how we can consume music. So a lot of new innovations coming out, again, in the next 2 or 3 product cycles. After that, the big question marks start to come in. Thank you for that, Eric. Stay with us. Test24 next.
Time now to talk about our gadget of the week. We're continuing with our solar-powered series with this backpack that you have there, Eric. It's kind of like a mobile charging station for all your electronic devices, wouldn't you say?
It is. We thought, well, it's back to school time now, so let's get a product that students and pretty much geeks would like. I love this product. I think it's great. Now, let's start with the good. First of all, a solar panel. You can plug in any phone you want into it, and what it does basically is it's got this little charging battery here. And this takes about 4 to 5 hours to charge up, and you can connect any USB device to this, and it'll charge up.
So it's not just phones?
Not just phones, but it's a USB device. It can charge basically an iPhone and a half. It takes about 6 hours to do that, but again, you don't need a full charge on that. Costs 115 euros for that. Now, this is a little pricey, in my opinion, for a bag that the bag itself...
It's not very sexy, I've got to say.
It's not very sexy, but the bag itself, the quality doesn't feel too great. So you're really buying this product for the solar panel right here. Now, the convenience. Let's talk about students who are in class all day and not necessarily having access to a charging station. Also, in Africa and developing countries where you don't have a consistent energy supply, this is a great way to keep your charge going without having access to electricity. So good pluses here, but at the same time, a little on the pricey side at 115 euros.
So you charge up the lithium battery inside,
Correct.
And it's got, as you say, a reasonably good conversion rate. Could you charge a laptop with it as well, for instance?
Not with this particular unit, in part because there's just not enough power. Now, however, for 60 euros, they do sell just the solar panel with the charging unit.
So you can put it on another bag?
You can put it on any bag you want. And so that's probably the way to go. But at the end of the day, lots of practicality for it. And this is really part of the trend that we've been seeing of more solar panels getting into clothes, getting into bags, and getting into radios and whatnot, and then allowing you to connect a portable device to it. As these devices take more and more juice, the battery life is getting worse and worse. So having these opportunities to charge on the go are really, really useful.
Yeah, it really keeps you mobile. Now, it's sold in France, Belgium, Switzerland, Tunisia, Morocco, and the Democratic Republic of Congo.
And
so a lot of Francophone countries. Yes, it's made by Equigi, and it's the Escapade model. I understand there's another one as well for about 500 euros if you're willing to shell out.
And that one allows you to, and that has more juice, and that one can charge your laptop on it.
So, as you say, this is part of a trend. We're seeing more and more of these panels embedded into items.
Absolutely.
But
and you can see why the DRC would, of course, use something like this where only 6% of the population has access to electricity.
You can take everything in your bag, go away for the weekend, as long as there's some sunshine.
Think about hiking, camping, all those different uses for it. It's very practical.
Thanks very much for that, Eric, and thank you to you for watching this edition of Tech24. We're just about at the end. A reminder, as ever, to check us out on Facebook/Tech24, and you can follow both of us on Twitter at EricF24 for Mr. Olander here, and I am at rbowringjourno. But there is one more thing. Yes, we thought we'd finish the programme this week with Steve Jobs in his own words, at least his most famous catchphrase, that is. Over the years, the Apple co-founder has lifted the curtain on scores of products from Mac OS X to the iPod to iCloud. But his archetypal keynotes, or Steve Notes as they're known, always feature an encore, something bigger and better than that he has just unveiled. So here's a YouTube mashup of the best moments. We'll see you again next week here on Tech24.
I want to talk about. But there is one more thing. You guys have sat through a lot, and I really appreciate it today. And there is one more thing. But there is one more